What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of In His Design Podcast. I am Kike with
Alonso Jimenez
and very special guests,
Nora and Alex.
And Alex Roy.
Welcome, guys, to the show. And as always, Alonso, we always start these episodes with Bible scripture of the week. Alonso, if you help us with that.
Yeah, so today we are reading from Psalms chapter 121, verse 1 and 2. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. Awesome, guys. So Nora and Alex, if you guys can help us give a little reflection of what the Lord is saying to you through the scripture.
Of course. Do you want to go first?
So just hearing it right off the bat, to me, just, if you have nowhere else to look, for help or anything, with no family, no friends, no one can help you, you just look up to the Lord. He's right there.
I feel it's always important to remember that because we're sons and daughters of God, we are able to question and we are able to sometimes, get mad in a way or get upset because things may not be working the way we want them to. But at the end of the day, because he's our Father, and deep down we know his love, we are reminded with this verse that in the moments of despair and the moments of anger, he's there, just like the heavens are always there. Just as the day could be really cloudy and there could be a lot of rain, it could be thunderstorms, but the sun comes out at one point or another. God is there. His ways, his blessings, they come out, and it's important to remember that, and it's important to have verses like this sometimes memorized, because you also never know who needs to be reminded that God is there for us and that He'll answer our prayers when it's the right time.
Amen, amen. So, starting this off, ¿Quién es Nora? I know I started in Spanish. Sorry.
No, you're
Go for it.
Who is Nora? That's a very complicated answer to come. Throughout my short 33 years of life, I've been blessed with a lot of different opportunities, and I've been encouraged by many to try different things. I think at this point, my favorite title right now would be I'm Alex's fiance. I'm a teacher. I'm a history teacher. I'm an ASB director. I'm a loving daughter. I am a very responsible older sister. I try to be an example for those around me, and I definitely try to be the person that you look at and you think, everything will be okay and everything can work out, because she shows us that there's that faith, not just in God, but also in herself, that things will work out. So I think that's who I am right now.
Thank you, Nora. And both of us, we've known each other.
Many years.
Many years.
Many years.
When I was
more
a little
than
kid.
10. Yes, you were.
When I was a little kid, running through those halls of Guadalupe Radio. So to start off, obviously, you're the daughter of Yesenia Flores, who is a Catholic singer.
Yes.
What was that for you growing up, or being around with your mom, like when she was going around different places at churches, events? What was that like to you?
So my mom didn't start her ministry until I was 18. So it was the summer after I graduated high school. More of my memories of my mom come from her as a secular singer. In the church, her ministry has just been what home has always been like. Prayers and retreats, prayer groups. It's just that has always been second nature to us. I was very fortunate to be born into a home where Christ was always present. Both my parents are born Catholics. They're raised Catholics. They're traditional Catholics. I was baptized at 3 months. My siblings were as well. Going to church on Sunday was something very, very normal, nothing out of the ordinary. So I don't have much to say about what it was like, having her follow her through her ministry, because it was just home. Being in a church has always been home. One of the things I've always shared with those that do not share our faith about the Catholic faith is that no matter which church we attend, it's home. It's the same thing. I feel very fortunate that that's what Catholic means, universal. No matter if I'm here in Los Angeles or if I happen to be in Guadalajara, or if one day I happen to visit, Europe or anything, the Mass is going to be the Mass no matter where I'm at. So church and my mom's ministry has just been home to me. I have received many blessings because of her ministry, but the challenges have also been there for the family as a whole. But I think the thing I've learned the most from her and my dad is that as a family that is dedicated and devoted to the Catholic Church, nothing can ever be too big that we can't overcome, because God's always there. And in the moments of despair, we know that his light will shine through, and her ministry, I firmly believe, does that for people through her songs and through her testimony. She's shown people that things can get really rough, and just because you have a name that people know, just because you're a household name, or just because you come out on TV or things like that, it doesn't mean that you don't get challenged. It doesn't mean that there's no deep valleys or anything like that. It just means that you have to be stronger in your faith and know that at the end of the day, nothing happens without God.
All right. So when did your ministry start? What was your first ministry that you started?
That's an interesting question. My first I could tell you my first encounter with the Holy Spirit was at the age of 11. It used to be called Católicos Unidos en la Fe. It was a congreso that El Sembrador used to do in the LA Sports Arena that doesn't exist anymore. That was the first time I felt the Holy Spirit within me. And on my quinceañera, I remember Father Nando, he spoke about what the young ladies at 15 used to go do to the church to ask to be the Mother of God. And I think at that point it hit me that I had to be of service in the church in some way or another. But since the age of 8, we were going to El Sembrador or Guadalupe Radio and being voluntarios, being servidores. So something that I would call just me without my family, it'd probably be when I graduated college, when I started working for one of the radio stations, doing the events and having a radio show. Maybe that would be the first.
Your first ministry
by myself.
By yourself.
Yeah.
So you grew up, right? Pretty
Yes.
much in ministry with your family, your parents.
Yes.
Okay, so that's cool. Your ministry said it was on the radio, right? Your first. Can you tell us that radio and what you were doing, your roles?
Yeah. So I started as event coordinator.
Okay.
So the person that was there before me, Frances Guerrero, she's a great friend now. She had been hired by USC to work at the Los Angeles, the Coliseum, that whole area, right? That sporting area by USC. She got hired there, and then I had just finished college, so they brought me on because they knew me really well. So they hired me right away, and I started organizing all of the congresos, retiros, and things like that. And then my mom and I had a radio show at 6 a.m. from 6 to 7. And, she would talk about life, and then I would jump in here and there. And then I was also doing the public relations for the station. So I was in charge of, the contacts with the artists, with the preachers, with the archdiocese, being the one that would be the middle person between the station and priests that we wanted to invite. People like Hela or Priscilla, things like that. It was back in the time where Cesar Lozano was still starting. So I was that middle person for the station. So
you were doing a lot of secular, a regular job, right?
Yes.
What were you doing in your personal spiritual? What were you doing? Were you keeping it with prayer, mass, daily mass? What were you doing in your spiritual?
So daily prayer has been a thing in my life. I went to Catholic school when I was young, and prayer was just a daily thing, And they say after 21 days you form a habit, something like that. So it just became a habit. It has been just part of my life. So daily prayer has been a thing, and my prayers, we've discussed this. My prayers are more like conversations throughout the day with God, and every now and then I do novenas. I really like doing novenas. So I'll do that. But yeah, prayer is just part of life for me, morning and night throughout the day. Daily mass. The station offered daily mass, and so it was from 7:30 to 8. Work started at 8, so it was perfect. I'd get there and then go to daily mass. I've tried doing prayer groups, like youth groups and things like that, but I have this really hard thing where I always want to be the leader, and I always want to stand out. I always want to stand out.
Alex knows what you're talking about.
So it was always hard, because most of the coordinators weren't too happy with me being there. But yeah, as a personal thing, daily mass, daily prayer, novenas, like I said. And another thing that has always been very, very good for me is having role models within the church. So I've gotten to be really, really close to a lot of priests.
Nice.
And, when we got engaged, I told him, like, no matter what church it's at, I know which priest I want to marry me because it's a dear friend of mine. And, those relationships are also very important because I get to text, like, there's a priest that's very famous, Alexandre Pacholi, and I'm very fortunate that I could text him and be like, Padre, I'm having this difficulty. What can I do? And I get a text back, So having those types of friendships and mentorships has also been important and helpful.
All right, now I'm going to ask Alex. I know, Alex, you're a little nervous, but it's just a regular conversation.
Yeah.
Alex, so how was it when, you guys met? You told us behind the cameras, how you guys met and everything. But how was it for you when you met her, you met Nora, and you started finding out who she is, her family, like how big religion plays, a role in her family? How was that with you? Were you a practicing Catholic? Were you going Sundays or only like on Easter? How was your,
So
what kind of Catholic were you?
Yeah, so I would say when I first met Nora, I was a non-practicing Catholic. I would openly tell people that.
Yeah, which is 3 out of 4 are non-practicing Catholics right now.
Yeah.
So you're in the majority. You were in the majority. Now you came on our side of the minority.
There you go. So I know before I met Nora, I was doing a lot of praying. And I would say I started in January, and then I believe, the power of prayer, kind of led me back to it. So even though I wasn't really practicing the Catholic faith, I mean, I prayed for, I would love to have a loving wife, loyal, all the other stuff.
So you started a conversation with God.
I did start a conversation
before even going to church.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I started a conversation with God, and then he listened, and here she is. So, and I think that kind of brought me like, okay, this is the path I need to go down. I need to come back. And then with her, she's been bringing me back slowly, and it's not like a resistance. It's just I want to do it at my own pace. And if I have a question, she's more than open to answering any of them. And to answer your other question, what's funny? I had no idea about her family.
You had no idea.
Like that. The only thing I would say was, I don't know how it came about, but my mom met her mother. My mom was a very devout Catholic. And then I think it was just a simple name like, my girlfriend, her name's Nora Yesenia. And I said her whole name. And then she's like, Flores? And I was like, yeah. And then I showed my mom, a picture of her on Instagram with her whole family. She's like, no. And then she's scrolling through her phone, right? And then, boom, she shows me the picture of her and her mom. So I was just like, oh, okay. But yeah, before, no clue.
My dad made a joke about, because when he went to go ask for permission to ask, or when he went to go ask for my hand, his parents were like, we've been praying for somebody like Nora for a long time. And my dad said, well, it's all of, Alex's mom's fault. And they were like, what do you mean? And he goes, well, when you met Yesenia, you could have said, like, I have a son, but you didn't. So my dad was like, this could have happened a long time ago.
It could have happened a lot sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
2019, if that actually would have happened. Cause
wow.
it was before COVID. I remember my mom
But you know,
Yeah.
things have to happen through God's time.
Yes.
Yes.
Because then it would have been a little bit weird, right? Like your parents, your mom and
Yeah.
imposing on each other.
You know,
Yeah.
I used to when I was, and I've told Alex this, when I was in my late 20s, I started questioning, you know, like what we had talked about earlier. Why is so and so living this dream, and why is so and so getting this when I've done things the way that the church asks and things like that. And when I met Alex and when things started developing in our relationship, it hit me like if this would have happened even a year ago, I wouldn't have been prepared to understand and value who he is. And
Yeah.
it wouldn't have worked out. It would have been where, you know, I would have been like, oh yeah, he's really nice, he's really cool, but like, oh, he's too much, it's not the time. And who knows what his time would, or what his thoughts would have been like, you know, because at that point he was at a different area, he was working in a different area. You know, the distance and things like that, it wouldn't have worked out, and it would have been maybe a heartache, a heartbreak for both of us.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, yeah, you know, it had to happen now, and I know I still had a lot of growing up to do, and I did so in the last year, and so definitely God's timing is perfect.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. So that's pretty cool. You know that your mom already knew your mom and
Yeah.
like what your dad said. That's pretty cool. You know. But now moving forward, you know, you guys are talking about, you know, your engagement, and that's actually another ministry, right?
Yeah.
Engagement it's another ministry because it's a way of life. Not only out in, you know, in society, but now in your spiritual life too, right? You start to pray for the other person.
Yes.
When more intense, right? You really care
Yes.
about them. So how has that been spiritually with you guys getting
Engaged.
engaged?
Do you want to share?
Yeah, I think. Well, I wouldn't say I'm leading the prayer, but I know. I think I would say I take initiative and just, you know, because we met at work, so like before school I have first period prep. So then right before, but hey, let's get a quick prayer, and then, you know, I would, you know, on my own as well. I just, you know, now that she's my fiance and I'm gonna marry her soon, it's the only first thing I pray about is her. So spiritually, you know, my I guess when I pray and I'm having a conversation with God, I make sure she's first, and then, you know, and then I end with us. So I pray for her well-being, and then I end with us. So I guess I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah.
Oh yes, it does. It does.
Yeah. You know,
Oh, wow.
for me, it's been, there's Instagram posts where it says, you know, maturing is when you do this or things like that, right? And it hit me the other day that for me, maturing in our relationship has been where, you know, as a Catholic young woman, you get told, pray to St. Anthony and, you know, he'll find you your boyfriend, and pray. I did this St. Anne novena, and I have always prayed to St. Joseph to be a good example for my future husband. And I think for me, maturing in our relationship has been where, yes, I prayed hard before meeting Alex because I wanted to meet Alex. But now I pray harder because now I'm praying for who's going to be my husband, and I'm praying now for the father of my kids. So it's a lot more intense. It's a lot more purposeful. And what he said, where I don't come first. He comes first because I'm very traditional, and we hope we're going to have a very traditional marriage and a very traditional family. And as, you know, the leader of our house, he needs to be strong. He needs to be, you know, having that fortitude to lead us in the right way. And I've discussed this with him a lot of times where I tell him, we hope we have sons. And I tell him, I want to make sure that you know what type of men I want you to raise for us. I don't want kids that are going to struggle because of whatever. I want them to know that they have a strong base, and that, you know, God is there for them, and that they're going to be worshipers, and they're going to be part of the church, and they're going to be involved. But I know that I need to pray for him to continue growing in the faith, for him to later on lead us as a family into that.
Have you guys done, or any of you guys done the consecration of St. Joseph yet?
No, we haven't actually. But I did tell Alex if he ever wanted to start studying the lives of saints. That was the saint I told him that I wanted him to start starting. Yeah.
St. Joseph is key when it comes to family,
Yes.
especially for the fathers of the family to
Yes.
have that obviously faith towards God, which is very strong, but also the loyalty and love towards the wife and the kids, right? Because and that's who Saint Joseph was, right? He was a strong father, but not just someone that's like, oh, I'm just a dad, right? No, I'm here because I'm a husband, and God gave me a very big task, which was to raise Jesus Christ, and I'm sure, right? If it wasn't for Saint Joseph, I mean, yes, Jesus is God and everything, right? God set him up and prepared him, but obviously he was still human.
Yes.
He still needed that father figure around, to show the world, it's like, hey, you know what? A father figure is needed in the world,
Definitely.
to create or to raise better human beings, not just boys, but also girls, right? Because you guys may see in the news or people out there, it's like so many girls out there that never had that father figure, right? And they fall into different types of lives that you don't wish on them, right?
Right.
Even men, right? Not just girls, but both men and women. So again, yeah, I mean, Saint Joseph is going to be someone huge that you guys can ask for intercession for your guys' marriage, but most especially for Alex, and also, if God does, does fulfill that wish that you guys have, which is to have boys, that Saint Joseph can also guide them and lead them to God,
Yeah, no, definitely. It's important. I know the family, Mary, Joseph, Jesus, it's crucial, and it's a great example because they could have taken it where it's, well, he's the son of God, and their attitude could have been completely different to what it was. And Joseph, the comments I'm sure weren't fun, and the laughs and the looks, but he was strong enough to continue on. So definitely he's a great example. And yeah, that was a conversation that I had with Alex, where I told him, when you feel ready to start, looking into the lives of the saints.
All right, so Alex, when you have those boys, what college are they gonna go to play football?
Oh man,
No football.
That's been a conversation. It's funny. As a
baseball players.
Yes,
Baseball players?
yes.
All right.
That's exactly where you took the words right out
Yes.
of my mouth. No.
Oh, you said football because you said you were.
Yeah.
Yes, he is a football coach.
I've coached football. I played football 9 years. 4 in high school, 5, in college, and then I've been coaching football since 2010. I'm 36. My knees are paying for it. So, and there's certain physical ailments I've had, and so I would, I talked to Nora about it, and I said, look, if one of them's gonna be like Dad, so if he wants to continue playing, after high school, or he wants to play in high school and after high school, so be it. But if I have a preference, feeling how I feel, I would love for them to be baseball players. I would love to be out there with a bag full of sunflower seeds and yelling at the umpire.
It's funny. My first Dodger game was thanks to Kike. Do you
really?
remember that, Kike?
Yes,
It was for my 25th birthday. That was his gift to me. So
Nice.
yeah, baseball is the hope.
They won.
They did
And
win.
we had fireworks right after that.
Yes,
so
we
it was
did.
like-
Yeah.
It was a Friday night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. Any recommendations that you guys want to let our viewers know about? Especially, I'm asking you because right now our culture, a lot of men. I don't know. I'm not married. I'm not in any relationship, but I see that a lot of us. I don't know. We're afraid, or maybe there's just not enough men. To look up to. And successful marriages. What's something that you can, tell us, like, what got you to say, you know what, I'm gonna ask this woman to marry me?
Oh man,
it's a
No
loaded question.
No pressure.
Yeah, it's a lot. So,
but
It's important.
it's very
important.
important, because there's trust me, like, a lot of friends, if you guys see me, a lot of my friends. They haven't gone the right route. They, what is it, shotgun weddings, or if add that, or baby mamas, right? And that's actually the norm in our culture now, which sucks.
It does.
Because here in Imago Dei, we want to promote a more Catholic, culture, which is the best culture to live by.
Yes.
Doing everything the way God told us to do. Because everything has an order.
Yes.
There's no chaos in it. So yeah, like what
the first thing that pops in my head when you ask me that question is that what got me to where I am right now was I had to have a purpose, or I had to have something that, like, I had to have a purpose, like what
what are your days going to reflect on later on?
Yeah. So
he says something that I appreciate a lot, that he wants to be able to look at himself in the mirror and be okay with.
Oh, yeah. So, see, football, the CTE concussions, man. I forget it sometimes. It's getting to me. Yeah, so I want to be able to look at the man in the mirror and say, you know what, you did good. And I think that's important. With leads to like having that purpose, like where your path is going, and you see they say plan to the end, and for me at the end was having wife, kids, and be able to look in the mirror and say I did a good job. So my advice for the young men out there that are kind of going through that culture right now that they're going through is you gotta be able to look in the mirror and know who you are, find your purpose, and plan to the end. It's funny when at first you were asking me and I was like, okay, I think I know where I'm going with this. And then the ADHD and the CT, all of a sudden I'm going, left, right.
No, yeah. I mean, that's. Yeah. I'm 36 myself, so and sometimes I'm reflecting what you said. I was like, how come I didn't get married like a lot of my friends, at a young age?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I was like, I was such a different person. Yeah. Like I always say, I was in the church, but I was lost in the church. I didn't know who I was either, and maybe I wouldn't have been the right person, for that person that I was, talking to at the time. But yeah, I mean, it takes time, and it takes also takes courage,
Yeah.
And I see that you have that courage.
Yeah. No, that's definitely the courage part for sure. Like she could have said no, but I had the courage to talk to God, I guess, and to ask, show me the way, and to really submit, back in January.
I think that's the word, being submissive. Yeah, because I'm sure you've all seen that diagram where it's God and then there's an umbrella and it says husband, umbrella, wife, and then another umbrella and then the kids. So as much as I'm willing to be submissive to him, I need to make sure that he's submissive to God, and he was at the point where he knew he could do that, and he knew he was able to understand whatever calling that was. And it isn't easy. No relationship is easy. I'm not saying it's been the hardest thing ever. It's been really fun, but there's struggles, and we work together. So as coworkers, there's things, and we're in different departments, and some kids hate him, but they love me, and things like that.
Yeah. By the way, I know we said this off camera.
Yeah.
Both of you guys are teachers, right?
Yes.
Just so that our viewers know.
Yes.
You guys are middle school teachers?
For the most part, I am. Yeah, Alex is.
I teach math.
Math.
Yeah.
They don't mean it, Alex. They don't mean it.
No, but it's it's been chaotic, but it's been good to see that he's willing to do what God is asking him to do. And when we started talking about marriage and a future together, it was, I always made sure to reassure him that whatever he was going to lead us into, I was going to follow, because I was seeing in him that he was following already what Christ had for him, and so that definitely helped. And I think also for you, correct me if I'm wrong, you have a strong dad at home that has shown you what a marriage.
I do. My father, he's been with my mom actually 50 years. They were teenagers, and they got married as teenagers.
Wow.
And 50 years in December.
Mm-hmm. They got married because they fell in love as teenagers.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's beautiful.
So yeah. I've been able to see that example. I've seen it all with them, but seeing how my father treated my mom. I saw how he interacted with his in-laws, with my siblings. He's been probably the best role model I've had, and he set that example. And I hope I could be half the man that he is, and lead our new family, to
being that. And it goes to what you were saying, father figures are needed.
Yes,
they're needed. Alex had that. I have a strong father, and they are able to get along really well because they're both very similar men, and that has helped both of us. Where you were saying earlier, girls could take a different path, but that wasn't an option for me because I knew Dad was going to be home, asking and making sure that everything was going to be okay. Yeah. And that also helped me because I knew that if the guy I was going to be with was not willing to face my dad, being my dad who he is, then that wasn't going to be a good man.
Talk about the scariest 5 to 10 minutes in my life when I went to go ask for permission. So I actually, real quick, I don't mind me sharing. I have a friend of mine named Paul, very devout Christian, and I said, "Hey man, I really like this girl," and he's like, "Well, is she your girlfriend yet?" I was like, "No, I think I don't know if I should ask her. Is that even a thing?" He's like, "Go out and go ask her dad." He's like, You're telling me you want to be the man that you say you want to be? Go ask." So I did, and
so we're talking about a 36 and a 33-year-old. And he went and he asked for permission to be, to ask me to be his girlfriend. So, it's
talking about the scariest 5-10 minutes. I'm not a small man. I'm 6'2", 300 pounds, and her father is your average Mexican male, and I'm sitting there like sweating. I'm kind of like this. My voice got real high, so. No, her father is real strong, and you talked about it earlier. As educators, we see it that there is a lack of father. I've been kind of wanting to touch on, not want to touch on that, but just mention that, like, the lack of fathers or the lack of strong leaders is, you see it a lot, especially in schools, and
I seen that, and I see. Tell me if I'm wrong, but what I do see a lot is mothers trying to be fathers.
Yes.
But you never see single fathers trying to be mothers.
No.
I don't know if you guys ever seen that.
I have. I've seen it where I had coaching football. One of our best players, his wife passed when the kid was 5. But he never, I wouldn't say he tried to be the mom, but he was always the dad, with him. And if he needed the motherly feeling, from what I remember, he'd call his sisters or someone. Like, he knew, I don't know.
No, but no, that's exactly what I was going to say. I've seen it too, but it's usually the case where mom has passed and dad doesn't want to replace her. That's where some dads do want to make sure that they're providing both, but usually the women,
separation.
In a separation, a divorce, or in a single birth and things like that. It's and it's very unfortunate as a woman, as a traditional woman. It's very hard for me to see that because I see the moms and the kids reflect it. I love my students. I love all of my students. There's some that are very difficult, but I still love them. And I see it where, I'll email mom and I'll say, this happened during class today. And most of the time moms, which is, they're single moms, their answers is, well, what did you do to provoke that? They're very defensive right away. Or, that's just her character. That's just his character or whatever. And I'm like, you're trying to be that strong male figure in your house, but you're not doing it correctly because you're not a strong male figure. So
you can't.
And there's families where mom, dad passes away, and there's things like that, and there are examples of people that have been raised by single parents that did it. But I think I truly believe in the phrase that it takes a village to raise a kid. So if there's no dad, and we've discussed it, that if at some point one of us is missing and we have the kids, what will we do? And he said, your dad and your brother are strong male figures, but so is my brother, so go and, I'm sure you're going to have my brother's support because even though he may not be around, there's going to be that figure either way. There has to be, and I've told him if one day I'm not around, like make sure my mom sees the boys and make sure my mom's there for them because she's going to be the closest thing that they have that as, to replace me in a way. You need it. It's an electrical socket. For electricity, you need both sides.
And positive and negative.
Yes.
No, yeah. So I just wanted to say that because I know you guys see that as teachers,
Yes.
But and that's one of the faults as a culture, a society that it's I don't know why it's the mother. I don't know if it's because she's so caring that she just wants her child to somehow
be surrounded.
Be surrounded.
I really think it goes to play with what we have been taught these past maybe 2 decades about what feminism is. I think the term has gotten out of context completely. Feminism was fighting for women to have rights. It was never for women to be equal to men because we can't. Physiologically, we're different. Even if you put me to be 6'2", 300 pounds, I'm not going to be as strong as him. There's no way. So I think feminism has changed people's minds. And there's also a thing with toxic masculinity where it's like, oh, I don't need him to open my door. I can open my door. All right, but why would you if he's willing to do it? Why? Well, it's not him being toxic, and then if you really take away those 2 things, it's he's opening the door because he wants to make sure I'm safe inside before he's safe inside.
I don't know, this, but spiritually, a man opens doors because of their spiritual negativity. The man it's by God's nature. It's meant to take that
because they're stronger
and protect the woman's spirituality.
Yeah,
and nobody realizes that.
No, like the sidewalk rule. Why do they walk out on the outside of the sidewalk? Do you know why?
So this is actually it's because of the cars.
No, it has a historical meaning. So back in medieval times, do you know this one? No, you do. So back in historical times, there was no restrooms in the castles. Okay.
Yeah.
So they had the bassinets or whatever, and they would throw everything out the window, and it would fly further. So that's why the male goes on the outside to protect the girl from getting dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a historical thing.
Yeah.
But it's all meant to protect us. And am I strong to open my own door? Yes. But if he's willing to sacrifice himself to protect me, well, thank you. But in the same way goes where if I need to make sure that he's fed or that he has emotional support because women provide emotional support that you men don't have, or, female intuition, things like that. Well, I'm going to give him that because he's given me what he can to protect me. So I think the whole feminism and toxic masculinity things have gotten way too out of hand.
It just went back to...
And it's really has affected, and now we've talked about it, how we see it on social media where it's like, oh, now it's becoming cool again. And it's like,
yes,
you realize that it didn't work because that's not how society was supposed to work.
I see it all the time on social media. I mean, there's a lot of Instagram profiles that are just like trad. I think the one that I follow, because I think some of it's funny, but Trad West or something like that. I think one of the memes that I always like, and I think I sent you, is like, everything your grandma told you back in the day is cool. Like, go to church, call her, or, read the Bible. So, and honestly, they're right. I mean,
hopefully, we are winning the culture war. Because you guys, I don't know, you guys saw that with Mark Wahlberg and Mel Gibson just got awarded $1 billion to do a non-woke studio.
Yes, I saw that.
Hopefully, by that they mean a Catholic, at least with Catholic roots.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw Amazon Prime just released a movie too about Catholic families and the importance of reading the scripture. Yeah. So
wow.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. We got Russell. What's his name? Russell Brand.
Russell Brand.
Okay.
the British comedian now. He's reading the Bible and meditating.
Praying the rosary too.
Praying the rosary. He hasn't declared himself Catholic.
Yeah.
But I think he's in the process.
I would say it's a pendulum. You know what I mean? Like, we went way too far to one side that it's got to come back. And then there's got to be that happy medium, and I was noticing that with the culture in today's society, that we went so far in one direction that people are like, this is not right. It's not right. Let's bring it back. Right. Hold on a second. So, you're seeing people with, that are important in the in culture, pop culture, all that, that are saying like, whoa, let's slow down. Like you mentioned a couple celebrities too. I mean, I just talked to, and again, I won't bring politics, but we were talking about how The Rock kind of went out and started speaking out against the woke culture and all this other stuff. I'll keep the politics out of it, but he was saying like, no, this is wrong. Like the cancel culture, woke stuff, like it's too much. So it's a pendulum. I think it's coming back towards the middle, and we'll see what happens.
A lot of people are actually waking up to the truth and seeing everything that's going on is not right. People, maybe when our parents were our age, some of the things that they believed in, now they're completely gone, right? Because there's a culture or a generation that's like, oh, we don't need that. Mm-hmm. But, down the line, they're going to start seeing that they needed it, and they're going to need it during that time. Yeah. So it's tough. I mean, it's really, it's scary at first when you first see it. You're like, oh, my goodness, what's happening? But it doesn't mean that it's going to end there, right? There's always a good ending to these stories. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Kike, you have any closing thoughts? I know we've been ignoring Kike, but he's back there in the producer's chair.
I was doing some editing while I'm just kidding. I was paying very close attention to the whole show. Yeah. But again, guys, actually, real quick, Nora, with you, can you give any type of advice to these young women, especially like these young couples? Because we heard it from Alex already, but we want to see from a woman's standpoint, what can go through her mind, or, her communication with God before receiving these news from, the guy that wants to marry her.
It's important. There's a giver and there's a receiver, and you need to be smart enough to understand when it's okay to receive. I think based on my life and the past 7 months that I've shared with Alex, and we're growing as a family and with our faith, there's two things. The first is that any Catholic young woman out there that's hopeful that marriage is what their calling is and what their ministry is, you need to be fully aware of who you are. You cannot accept a person coming into your life without knowing who you are, what your values are, what your morals are, because there's going to be a lot of people that may look like the person you're meant to be with. But if you don't have those morals and those values set, it's going to be very easy to be tricked. So you need to be highly aware of who you are, what you want in life, what's important to you, because you can't take a step forward. As a history teacher, I say this to my kids all the time. You need to know where you've been to know where you're moving for. History makes us who we are, and it's important to know every aspect of yourself. And the second thing is, when you're praying, when you find yourself in those very low moments, it's not a be careful what you wish for, but it's more of a have a purpose to your prayer. You're not just praying because you're lonely. You're not just praying because you see your friends getting married. You're not just praying because society tells you it's time to have kids or anything like that. You have to have the purpose, and you have to be very specific in what you're asking for. My prayer for St. Anthony of Padua, it was the last novena I did before meeting Alex. I prayed for 3 different things, and it was 2 things, one for each of my siblings, and then for mine it was, if I, at that point, it wasn't that I didn't believe in marriage, but I really had felt that I had understood that my calling was to be the greatest teacher ever and to focus on my students and to live a life with just my job being my thing. And my prayer to St. Anthony for intercession was, if it's God's will for me to marry, if it's God's will for me to have a family, then I need him not to send me my husband. I need him to show me who my husband is and the reasons why he's going to be my husband. It can't just be, oh, he's really handsome and he looks really cute in pictures. It has to be, this is his qualities. These are the things that are going to help you be fruitful in your life. These are the things that will guide you to something better. And, you know, a lot of people have said that a relationship developed quickly, and in time sense, I guess it has. But for me, as a true Catholic, I'm like, no, it hasn't gone too quickly, because I asked God that he show me that I was supposed to get married, and to show me why, and to show me who, and for me not to have any doubts. So had Alex asked me at the end of our second date to marry him, I would have said yes, because at that point I knew enough. We had been friends for maybe 3 weeks, but I knew enough of him to know that the qualities that I knew I needed in a man, he had them. Our morals and our values aligned completely. You know, I joke around with him now. On that second date, on the way to the second date, we were in the car, and then religion came up. And I said I thought he was Christian, and he said, no, I'm Catholic. And I remember smiling, and he was driving, and then with his finger he just did like a check mark, but he actually went check.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah, he's like check.
So you thought it was in your head.
Yeah, I thought it was like subconscious, like in my head, but I was just like check.
So, you know, those were things that in my prayer, it was purposeful. It wasn't just everyone's getting married and I want to marry as well. And we've said that, you know, he said at some point, he was like, does this girl just want to get married? Is that her thing? And I told him, if that would have been my thing, I would have done it with whoever was in front of me. But that wasn't the point, you know? So, so definitely know who you are, know what you're willing to give up as well, because in a relationship, there's sacrifice, and you're going to have fears, you're going to have stress, you're going to have anxiety. And you need to know how open you're willing to be vulnerable and let, you know, that person know. And have purpose in your prayers. Don't just do it because it's what society makes you feel like you should be doing. Do it because you fully feel that you're ready to submit to what God is going to send your way. So those would be the two things I recommend to young ladies out there.
Well, guys, I mean, thank you so much for joining us, and also Nora, and thank you for that message that you told for all those young women out there, who are constantly looking for answers, and hopefully this can be part of a big answer that the Holy Spirit wants them to hear. So again, thank you. And also, Alex, thank you for your message as well. I mean, I know you say you were a little bit nervous before the show started.
Well, you took half of the show.
Well, I really appreciate you guys bringing me on. She's done radio, but this is my first time doing something like this. So it was fun.
Yes, I know. Like, this was his way, and that's his hook. So
honestly, if you guys invite me again, I'd be more than happy to come out.
Hey, I heard that she has a box in her house with a bunch
of production things.
Stuff.
No, I think I'm going to allow that in the house.
Yeah.
I might take that box with me.
But guys, thank you so much. And also, Alonso, thank you. You've been a great co-host, a great partner in these shows. But also, guys, thank you to our audience. Thank you for being with us. This show's been going on for around almost 2 years. A lot of changes have been going on in this show itself. But thank you guys for also supporting the ministry in general. I know that you guys are always there. Every single week we're gaining more following. And if you guys want to come on the show as well, you guys have a testimony, a story, something to present to the youth out there. You guys are more than welcome to join us. As you guys can see at the bottom part of the video, we do have the descriptions and also the links so you guys can follow us and reach out to us through our email. And yeah, guys, thanks again for joining us in this week's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and also follow us on our other. Sorry, I got tongue twisted. Don't forget to follow us on our other platforms, Instagram and Spotify. And again, guys, we will see you guys next week. God bless.